was almost midnight when I left work, and the streets were empty except for the faint hum of streetlights. My car was in the shop, so I had to take the bus home. Not a big deal, except my stop isn't exactly in the safest part of town. When I got to the station, the digital board was dark, no schedule showing. The only bus sitting there was old. Not just a little worn down old, but paint peeling, headlights yellow and dim, like it hadn't been maintained in decades. The driver was the only person inside. He was pale, eyes sunken deep, wearing an outdated uniform with a faded badge. He looked at me without blinking and said in a low voice, "Last bus tonight, all the way to the end of the line." I hesitated. "Does it go past Grey Ridge Avenue?" "All the way to the end," he repeated. The thing is, my stop was near the end of the line, and waiting for another bus in this neighborhood at midnight didn't seem smart, so I got on. The inside was dim, lit by flickering bulbs, and the air smelled faintly of mildew. The seats were ripped, some stained dark like they'd been soaked and dried 100 times. I took a spot near the middle. We pulled away from the station and I realized there were no other passengers. And the city passed by outside, but after a few stops, something felt wrong. The street signs were unfamiliar. The stores looked older, boarded up shops, gas stations with prices from decades ago. I leaned toward the driver. "Hey, I think you missed my stop." He didn't look at me. "This bus doesn't miss stops." My stomach twisted. I checked my phone, no signal. Not even a single bar, and the battery, which had been full earlier, was already at 10%. The bus kept going, faster now, the buildings outside getting darker, more decayed. Streetlights were farther apart and the windows reflected something strange. The inside of the bus didn't look the same in the glass. In the reflection, the seats were full. Dozens of passengers sitting silently, all staring straight ahead. I turned around in real life. Empty, completely empty. But I moved to the front. "I need to get off now." The driver finally turned his head toward me. His face seemed stretched, like his skin was just barely containing something underneath. His voice was colder now. "No one gets off before the end of the line." I backed away, my pulse pounding. That's when I noticed the passengers in the reflection were closer, their heads slowly turning toward me. The bus rattled hard like it was going over uneven ground. I looked outside, but there was no road anymore. Just blackness, as if we were moving through an empty void. My phone buzzed with a single notification. End of the line, 1 stop remaining. I turned to the window reflection again. The passengers weren't sitting anymore. They were standing in the aisles, their faces pale, mouths hanging slightly open. Their eyes were solid black. I looked back for real, still empty. Then, one of the reflected passengers moved differently than the others. Its head snapped toward me, mouth curling into a grin too wide for a human face. The lights in the bus went out for just a moment, and when they flickered back, there was someone sitting in the seat directly across from me. A man, skin gray, wearing clothes that looked like they'd been soaked for days. He leaned forward. Almost there. I bolted to the back door and yanked at the handle, but it didn't budge. The bus slowed. Through the front windshield, I saw it. A single streetlight standing over a dirt road surrounded by nothing. No houses, no city. Just empty darkness stretching forever. The bus stopped. The driver looked back at me for the first time with a smile that showed too many teeth. End of the line. The doors hissed open and the smell of wet earth and rot rolled in. The man across from me stood, motioned for me to go first. I shook my head, and for a moment the driver's smile faltered. His voice dropped into something lower, almost animal. "You will get off." Something moved in the darkness outside, multiple somethings. Figures, barely lit, all standing perfectly still, waiting. I don't remember what happened after that. I woke up the next morning lying on a bench at the bus station, my phone in my pocket, battery full. The morning buses were already running, and the place was bustling like normal. I tried to tell myself I'd just fallen asleep and dreamed the whole thing, until I saw the old bus again, parked way at the far end of the lot. The driver was watching me through the windshield. He raised one hand slowly and waved me over.